What would you do if you saw the person who once shaped your future struggling to make ends meet? This is the story of how one unexpected meeting changed everything for Big Shaq and his old teacher. Plus, subscribe to our channel and tell me in the comments from where are you watching this video? The bright lights of the stadium had long faded, replaced by the quiet hum of life outside basketball. Shaquille O'Neal, now a legend in the world of sports and business, had just finished a charity event in his hometown. The echoes of his past followed him as he walked through the dimly lit corridors of his old high school, memories flooding in with every step. The scent of old books, the distant laughter of students, the creaking lockers. It all felt like stepping back in time. He had come here to speak with students, to inspire them, just like someone once inspired him. But what he didn't know was that today, his life was about to take a turn he never expected. As he made his way towards the exit, something caught his eye. A hunched figure, a man pushing a mop across the hallway floor. There was something oddly familiar about the way he moved, the slow but precise strokes, the slight pause as he adjusted his glasses. Shaq froze. His heart skipped a beat. It was Mr. Daniels. The same Mr. Daniels who had once believed in him when nobody else did. The man who had told him he wasn't just a tall kid with a basketball, but someone who could be great, someone who could change lives. Shaq remembered the days when he struggled with his studies, when he felt like giving up, and how Mr. Daniels never let him. You're more than your height, son. You're more than your talent. You've got something inside you that can't be measured. Those words had stayed with him, shaped him, pushed him to become the man he was today. And now, here he was. Not in a classroom, not in a suit, but in a janitor's uniform, cleaning the very floors he used to walk with pride. Shaq's chest tightened. He wanted to say something, but he couldn't. Why was his old teacher, one of the most respected men in school, doing this? Was this life's way of repaying a man who had given so much to others? He took a step forward, but Mr. Daniels hadn't noticed him yet. A group of students walked by, their chatter filling the hallway. One of them, probably no older than 16, bumped into the janitor without so much as an apology, causing the mop bucket to tip over. Water splashed everywhere. "Ah, ugh, watch it, old man!" The student scoffed, barely glancing back as he laughed with his friends and walked away. Shaq clenched his fists. Something inside him burned. He had seen disrespect before, but this was personal. Mr. Daniels sighed, adjusting his glasses, as he knelt down to clean the mess. His once steady hands now trembling. No one stopped to help. No one even cared. Shaq stepped forward, his towering presence now undeniable. The hallway went silent. The students turned, their faces shifting from amusement to shock as they realized who was standing before them. Mr. Daniels looked up, and for a second it was as if time had frozen. "Shaquille." His voice was barely above a whisper. Shaq's throat tightened. He nodded. But before he could say a word, before he could do anything, Mr. Daniels gave him the same warm smile he always had, as if nothing had changed. And that's when Shaq made a decision that would leave everyone speechless. In one swift motion, he knelt down beside Mr. Daniels, ignoring the stunned stares around him. The same hands that had gripped championship trophies now reached for the soaked mop, helping his former teacher clean up the mess. Gasps rippled through the hallway. A global icon, a multimillionaire, a legend, on his knees, helping a janitor. The students, who had just laughed moments ago, stood frozen. "Mr. Daniels, sir." Shaq's deep voice was gentle, carrying the same respect he had for this man decades ago. "What happened?" Mr. Daniels adjusted his glasses and let out a tired chuckle. "Life, Shaquille. It has a funny way of humbling you." Shaq shook his head. "This ain't right. A man like you, teaching kids, shaping futures. You're the reason I made it." The hallway had gone completely silent. Even the student who had mocked Mr. Daniels earlier seemed uncomfortable now, shifting his weight from foot to foot. Mr. Daniels sighed. "They cut funding. Teachers got let go. I didn't want to leave this school, so I took what I could. It's just a job, son. Doesn't change who I am." Shaq clenched his jaw. This man, this incredible, selfless man, still carried the same wisdom, the same humility, even after life had thrown him down. But Shaq wasn't about to let it end like this. He stood up, towering over everyone. His eyes landed on the group of students, especially the one who had disrespected Mr. Daniels. "You, come here." The kid hesitated, clearly realizing he had messed up. He stepped forward, barely reaching. Shaq's shoulder. Shaq crossed his arms. What's your name? Uh, Jason. Jason, let me ask you something. Shaq's voice was calm, but there was weight in his words. Who taught you how to read? Jason swallowed. My teacher. And who taught you how to do math? Who helped you when you didn't understand something? Jason's eyes flickered to Mr. Daniels. Teachers. Shaq nodded. So, why you out here disrespecting one? The same man who spent his life making sure kids like you got a future. Jason looked at the ground, shame creeping up his face. I didn't think about it like that. Shaq put a massive hand on his shoulder. That's the problem. People don't think. They forget the ones who helped them, when they needed it most. Mr. Daniels ain't just a janitor. He's a legend. He's a man who made something of himself. And you? You're lucky to even be standing in his presence. Jason's eyes watered. He turned to Mr. Daniels. I'm sorry, sir. Mr. Daniels smiled, giving the kid a small nod. It's all right, son. Just remember, respect costs you nothing, but it means everything. Shaq straightened up. Now here's what's going to happen. He turned to Mr. Daniels. You're done with this job. You ain't pushing no more mops. Mr. Daniels raised an eyebrow. Shaquille, I appreciate it, but... No buts, Shaq interrupted. You gave your life to teaching. Now I'm giving something back. I'm setting up a scholarship in your name. Every kid who walks through these halls is going to know who you are and what you stood for. And you? He smiled. You're going to be working with me. Speaking at schools, mentoring kids, making sure the next generation gets the same wisdom you gave me. Tears welled up in Mr. Daniels' eyes. Shaquille, I don't know what to say. Shaq pulled him into a hug. Say yes. The students erupted into applause. Some even pulled out their phones recording the moment. Within hours, the story would spread like wildfire. News outlets would pick it up. People across the country would talk about it. And just like that, a forgotten teacher became a hero again. Mr. Daniels wasn't just a janitor anymore. He was a symbol of resilience, of dedication, of how one person's impact can last a lifetime. Shaq left that school knowing he had done the right thing. But before he walked out, he turned to the students. Respect your teachers. They're the reason you'll go places, and when you do, don't forget where you came from. The lesson wasn't just for Jason, it was for everyone. And with that, Big Shaq walked away, leaving behind something far greater than money or fame. He left behind a legacy of gratitude. If this story touched you, let us know in the comments. Have you ever had a teacher who changed your life? Don't forget to like and share, because kindness like this deserves to be remembered.